Okay, so behold the wonder. I've got this hand cart. This is the black hand cart that I've been dragging behind the bicycle for a while. I drag all my stuff out here, so it'll be like if I'm working on Turtle or the bike project or the trike or something. So it'll be welder, extension cords, grinder, a box full of clamps, the other clamps, more extension cords, and then whatever else I think I need. So then it'll be, a speed square, or usually 2 speed squares and a tape measure. And, whatever you're working on is going to be different. Okay, but this is what I came up with. So the key part of this is I'm thinking I can leave most of this on here and not even take it off. That was the first thing. So on this end, I got the welder. When I was looking at this, these dividers are what holds the top up. I'm like, well, I could cut them off, but if I leave them long, as long as it's not wider than the wheels, I'm fine. I got a 4-foot door on the back of my tinker shop, so I could roll something really big in. So I'm like, okay, when I roll up my cords, I'll just put them there. There's one on the other side. Days that I'm going to use it, I'll just set this on the ground when I'm needing it. This is where I'm going to have all of my magnetic clamps, and I'll probably set the welding helmet in there, and then it'll be protected because it's sitting down inside something. That's a 2-inch hole I did with a hole saw, and then I cut the edges with the skill saw. And I just kind of measured, there's a spot where the guard was supposed to be. I measured that. These ones are about 1.5 inches, and this one needed about a 2-inch hole, so I just did them all 2 inches, okay? And it just sits there, and you're done. Gravity holds it in place. So, it's good enough, it balances. I don't want to lift it too high. And this is one of my restraints, is the space between the cactus and the workbench. It's got to be able to fit through there. Oh yeah. And if I can roll that out in one shot, I've got 2 sets of extension cords. I've got my grinders, I've got my welder, I've got all my clamps. Boom, right? You know the drill. Like and subscribe, and nobody's watching this part anyway because you already gave up on me. Okay, I honestly wasn't going to make a big deal of this. This is a project that I have wanted to do for a couple, 3 years, honestly. Let's try that again. All right, if I sit with my back to the wind, this might even work. Okay, so behold the wonder. We're going to keep the shot far enough away. That'll be fine. This was a project that I've been wanting to do for about 4 years now, pretty much since I came out here. Maybe not from the very beginning, but close. I've got this hand cart. This is the black hand cart that I've been dragging behind the bicycle for a while. But before that, I've had this hand cart for, well, I had definitely had it before I moved out here. It is the best thing ever when you're moving a lot of stuff around or whatever. So when I do a project out here, which is probably 4 or 5 days a week lately, I drag all my stuff out here. So it'll be like if I'm working on Turtle or the bike project or the trike or something. So it'll be welder, extension cords, grinder, a box full of clamps, the other clamps, more extension cords, and then whatever else I think I need. So then it'll be, a speed square, or usually 2 speed squares and a tape measure. I'm looking over here now at all the other stuff. I got my water bottle, I got the radio sitting in the shop, I got my handful of drills, and then it's whatever else I need after that. Okay. So like for instance, today I brought out the skill saw and some wood screws, but that's not something I use every day typically. What I've always wanted would be, what would be the ultimate is if I could have an actual rolling toolbox, right? With all of my stuff on it. And I actually went down that road a couple times in the back of the bus. I was like, okay, I would drag the cart like this over to the back of the bus, and then all of the stuff that I had, like the table saw and that kind of stuff, was stored right inside the back of the bus for quite a while. So from the ground, I could reach up and grab it and put it on the cart. Okay. Well, now I'm storing everything in the house just to keep it a little bit cleaner. I've got this shop out here, but it's still pretty open, and so everything is just covered in dust. I'll make a bunch of trips back and forth. I've got a workbench on this side, and then another workbench here, another workbench there, and then this is a step that I bring out to sit on quite a lot or I use it as another workbench or a place to store everything. So what I was kind of thinking about, I wanted to build this, but I didn't want to take the time to do it. And I thought, well, at the end of a day, I'll just bop something together. Well, at the end of the day, I'm usually so pissed off at whatever I was working on, I just want to go inside and get out of the sun. And I'm dealing with, I get a lot of allergies this time of year. All the bushes are blooming and stuff now. And then the constant wind and blowing dust up. And then you got, hard sunshine here. And so you spend 3 hours in the sun, you're ready to go in and just not come back out again. So what I was thinking of, if I could just leave everything on the cart, that would be ideal. So I started kind of playing with that idea. I do have enough room in Tinker Shop that I can roll this inside and find a home for it. I'll have to move some stuff around a little bit, but I was kind of playing with the dimensions. So this is what I came up with today. It was about an hour's work, honestly. Didn't put a lot of time into it. So you can kind of get the idea. So the bottom is just a hand cart. All right. So I built approximately 16 inches up, and I was looking at, in fact, let me do that real quick. All of the wood that's on that piece of wood over there, whatever that is, and some more scraps of wood laying around here. This project, I'm going to make it out of scrap wood. I was thinking, I might be able to not even do any cuts. I ended up bringing the skill saw out and cutting some pieces down. But everything was scraps and reused and reclaimed lumber from other projects. And, whatever you're working on is going to be different. Okay, but this is what I came up with. So the key part of this is I'm thinking I can leave most of this on here and not even take it off. That was the first thing. The last few times I've been coming out, I was trying it out just on the cart, and I'm like, okay, if I could leave the welder on the cart and then just roll it around, you can pick it up and walk with it, but by the time you get back to the door, you can't have anything else in your hand, or you can't open the door. So I would end up dragging the cart over by the door and then bringing all the stuff over there and setting it by the door, and then opening the door and trucking everything in, trying not to let all the bugs and flies and mice and whatever in. Okay. So on this end, I got the welder. And what I was playing with here, when I'm rolling this, I'll loop it on the end. But when I'm just working, this piece of PVC pipe that's screwed on in a couple places, I'm going to hook it up here. I've had these Velcro strips for probably 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, I should start putting them on some of my cords, right? So as a quick hack, I'm going to put it up here. I might play with this a little bit. So when I'm working, I got somewhere to put it, okay? And usually the grounding clamp, you leave it clamped to the work or whatever you're working on. So I'll just have a spot to put the lead here. I might make this a little bit better, I might not. When I go to move it, I'll just put it back here, okay? So the welder will sit there. I got a milk crate down here. When I was looking at this, these dividers are what holds the top up. I'm like, well, I could cut them off, but if I leave them long, as long as it's not wider than the wheels, I'm fine. I got a 4-foot door on the back of my Tinker Shop, so I could roll something really big in. So I'm like, okay, when I roll up my cords, I'll just put them there. There's one on the other side. All this up here I can hang my clamps on, okay? I've got a tote. Let me grab that just for the, so you can kind of see the look. The top of a storage tote that I end up just throwing all of my loose tools onto. And I very seldom actually bring the tote out, or this was originally for welding. So I had a black tote for welding stuff. And it was always hard to get stuff out of it, so I just started using the milk crate that I found instead. But end of the day, I will have whatever my handful of tools is. I'll just put them on here. There's a spot inside Tinker Shop that this tray just sits. And end of the day, I put all the stuff on there, and then the next day I grab everything. I just usually grab, I got my dikes for when I'm welding. I need to cut the wire. I got my, pliers, usually have a hammer. And then whatever tools I think I need that day. And then 14 more trips back and forth to get the rest of it. Okay, so I just leave the top of this open and I got somewhere to put things, okay? The clamps, I've got 6 of them. I got plenty of room to put those there. That's just something you always end up needing. I've got 2 cords, one of these on each end. I'll just set this up here. And what I'm thinking, for days that I'm going to use it, I'll just set this on the ground when I'm needing it. This is where I'm going to have all of my magnetic clamps. And I'll probably set the welding helmet in there, and then it'll be protected because it's sitting down inside something. Okay, so I can pull these out, set them next to the welder or wherever I'm working. End of the day, all the clamps go back in. And I purposely left everything a little bit big, so I got a little extra room. So there's kind of a slot. I got my 2 triangles in here, my speed squares. And we're good, right? What I'm purposely trying not to do is to get, you know, quote unquote, too cute with making a cubby hole for every single thing. That eventually comes back to bite you because you overcomplicate things, right? One of those cool things you find randomly, double-sided Velcro. I think I bought this in a 50-foot roll, and I have no idea where the rest of it is, but it just goes, you wrap it around your cord, and then the back side sticks to the front side, and you're done. All right. I think this is too heavy to sit up here. I didn't really make it for something that heavy, so I'm going to take that off. I may or may not come back to that. Honestly, I'm not sure. Oh, this is the kind of cool thing. A place for the grinders, right? I am constantly switching grinders, going back and forth and using them. And what I came up with, this is not high precision work, but just, I'm like, okay, the thing I'm really trying to avoid is overcomplication on something like this. I just want it to be something that works and I can use it and I don't have to waste a lot of time messing around with it, right? So of course I got 4 cords tangled up here again, so I'm going to get the ones for the welder. Okay, so that's a 2-inch hole I did with the hole saw, and then I cut the edges with the skill saw. And I just kind of measured, there's a spot where the guard was supposed to be. I measured that. These ones are about 1.5 inches, and this one needed about a 2-inch hole, so I just did them all 2 inches, okay? And it just sits there, and you're done. Gravity holds it in place. End of the day, when I'm done, I'm going to just grab all 3 cords, loop it around maybe twice, and we're done. Nothing to it, right? Now the cool part, and I was literally, it's like I very seldom even measured something unless I needed it, you know, if I needed this to fit, I had to figure out that size, right? But otherwise, I didn't put a lot into that. I'm looking to see if I want to put something to hold this here so I don't lose it. But at the same time, I don't want to keep it, you know, again, I don't want to get overcomplicated. And I got a handful of cutoff wheels. I was looking, maybe I could put them somewhere, but it doesn't really fit. So I'm going to come back on that, but I always forget this, right? But from the other side, I needed a way to mount it. So I started off with a scrap of a 2x2. And I carved half circles with a little recip saw, and then I cleaned them up. I actually used the flap brush here to clean them up a little bit. It's not made for that, but it did actually work. You can kind of see where the burn marks are. It did smooth it out really nice, okay? It doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to be super strong. The one thing I realized, this is siding from the house. This is 3/8 plywood-based wood siding, okay? I needed something thinner. OSB was a little bit too thick. That was my first choice, typical for me. So the OSB was a little bit too thick because it had to fit between here. And the OSB was just a little bit too much, okay? These were made to be about equal, so I could put them either way. But because of the little variations when I made it, the one with the cutoff wheel is fragile. This is one of the problems. When I was just end of the day, I'd throw everything in the crate or in a box. I kept breaking these wheels off. So I'd usually take the wheel off. But here it'll sit pretty good. Okay. So once it's on there, you just grab all 3 cords, go around once. I'm usually going to use more than one of these at a time. So, but if I park this cart close enough to where I'm working, I could just reach out and put it down as soon as the wheel stops spinning, and then it's not in my way. So this is going to be the trick. You know, if I can set myself up that this is within 6 feet of me, that's how long the cords are, then I can reach over and just put it there and have the cord laying on the ground next to me. These cords have the triple end on them, so I can have all 3 grinders plugged in at the same time. And again, there's another Velcro strip. If you want these Velcro strips, I got them because I used to work in IT, like computers. You'd always have a bunch of those laying around to tidy up all your networking cables and stuff like that. Well, I happened to be walking through, I think it was Home Depot, and they've got the same strips for hanging your plants. Like if you got a vine and you want to tie it to something, you just use those. And so you can find them in Home Depot. And I can't remember if they were more expensive or less. But if you just look for double-sided Velcro, you can get it in a 50-foot roll, and you cut off as much as you need. It's indispensable for this kind of a project. So, so for moving this, I'm just going to kind of hook this over, and then my stinger here for my welder will be up and out of the way, and we're done, right? I probably will add a little bit to this as we go. But at the same time, I'm trying to keep it simple, and I don't want it to be so heavy I can't move it. All right. So I might look at perhaps, you know, maybe have a little box up here. So one of the things I had been doing, I just save all my boxes when I order something. I might just set a box here and throw all the little stuff into it. Keep it simple. Also down here on the front, I don't use it all the time, but my metal cutting chop saw would fit down here, I think. Honestly, I didn't measure it. Maybe it won't. But if I'm going to use it that day, I'd just stick it there and roll it out here. What I did not want is, for instance, to mount like the drill press onto here, because I don't want to have shavings all over this all the time. So I'm not going to use this as a workbench. It's just going to be to get the tools out here. When I'm welding, I'll bring the generator out. I'll park this somewhere close to the generator for the welder. I just run the welder cord directly to the generator, no extension cords. So I typically have them pretty close to each other. Something I had considered, and I might come back to this, the part where I hang the grinders, I was thinking about making that a separate piece so that I could undock it and put it somewhere. It's only screwed on there, so I could probably do that, but I think this will be fine. In fact, today, the entire project was to do this. This was the project for the day. Yeah, let's go ahead and just put it all away now, I guess. I'm doing computer stuff also today. So, you know, it's good enough. It balances. I don't want to lift it too high. And this is one of my restraints, is the space between the cactus and the workbench. It's got to be able to fit through there. All right, so like I was saying, coming back, I'll have a handful of stuff. I'm gonna just, now I got somewhere to set it. So if I roll this back, when I get most of the stuff on here, then I'll carry the last little bit, set it here, then I'm really close to the door so I can see if a rabbit tries to sneak in, you know, that kind of thing. It's a concern. Yeah, I think this will be a good idea. So once we get close, then whatever I have in my hand, if I can get the door open, great, I'll put that away first. Still working on getting things kind of figured out here. If there's something that has a home, it generally gets there, and that's a good day. Not everything has a home yet, and that's where the chaos really gets started. Okay, this should be interesting. I haven't yet really cleared a spot. I just want to see what it's like to get it in there, so we'll do that. We'll get this off at the top, because that will spread tools everywhere. All right, see how we do. I The wheel should be big enough just to roll up the step. I don't want to have to make a ramp if I can help it. Oh yeah, that'll be fine. If I had just a little more room. Oh, look at that. What I will probably do, clear the stuff out from underneath the workbench here. I've got this, I'm calling this the assembly table, but like every other surface, it's completely covered right now. But there is enough room. That's where I stuck it for now. And I can get the door closed, so that's fine. But I think I liked it underneath there better, even if I don't go all the way underneath. Just kind of scoot it in there a little bit. So let's see if I can get that to work first. That one is the one I use on the bicycle. Yeah, another random box taking up important space. I'm not really sure what's in there even. Good to have a stool in the shop. All right, let's see if this would work. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a little bit too high. Shoot. It would have fit before I put the grinders on there. Okay. What I can do though, leave myself just enough room. I am mindful I will probably walk into this in the dark a few times, so yeah, that might be okay. And if I can roll that out in one shot, I've got 2 sets of extension cords, I've got my grinders, I've got my welder, I've got all my clamps, boom, right? And none of that is actually attached to the hand cart. So if I decide I need the hand cart for something, all I gotta do is untangle everything, set the welder back where it used to be, take that whole rack off. Now I can use the hand cart again. Yeah, I think we're okay. I still got 2 feet to walk, and if I move David's batteries out of the way. One goal, as I get projects finished, and this is kind of a weird thing, but this is a reminder for myself, if anything, if nothing else. As I get things finished, for instance, this box down here is the go-kart parts that I bought for Turtle that I'm not likely going to use now. But when I get Turtle working, whatever isn't used there will get probably put in the bus or something. The electric motor for Turtle and its speed controller. Random electrical parts for the solar system. And there's my tools and this. And a lot of leftover stuff here. A lot of the stuff that gets left out here is left out here because I don't know where else to put it. So the hope is as I get things finished, those parts will get included in whatever else I'm building. So like there's my little drill press, a couple sprockets for Turtle and leftover wheel hubs and bolts, and a lot of, probably half of what's on that 6-foot long table is parts waiting to get put on. Once I get them put on, they're done, right? I haven't talked about these for quite a while because I really haven't been using them. This was my idea for making tool trays, okay? So I've got, a set of wrenches on this one and pliers, right? This kind of thing would be perfect on the new cart. Once I get it out there, I come back and grab 2 or 3 trays of what I need. I could lay the trays out on the work surface, and then I could grab everything really quickly. Like over here I got all my sockets, right? Except for the ones that are thrown into that tray loosely. So every space in here is used. So the chop saw is on that side, table saw, and the air compressor. This was kind of a cool one. Oh, it's probably all tangled up in the arrows now. I found this to be really awkward to reach underneath and grab the saw. So I always save my little wood circles when I drill a hole. So I had a bunch of 2-inch ones. And I just screwed these onto a 2x4 underneath that OSB. Made some little Stone Age wheels. That is much more convenient than trying to reach down there because the saw has rubber feet and you can't slide it by design, right? Anyway, that's that. I'm going to call that a success for now. We'll do some tweaking, but for the most part, I got to say, probably the grinder rack is the best part of it. Just simple, but one of those things that it was like at the end of the day, I just didn't have the energy left to do it. And I'm like, I am going to spend today. And I decided, you know what? I'm not doing anything else today. This is my project for today. Now that it's done, every day after this saves me probably half an hour every day of setting up and tearing down. Honestly. It doesn't seem like it, but the amount of times I get out there and I think I'm done and I hit record on the camera and I'm like, oh, one more thing, and I come running in to grab one more thing. That is so annoying, you know. So as I get time, I'm just going to kind of mod this out. The other possibility, I've got plenty of other wheels and some metal left. I might make a dedicated cart. For instance, if I use those 20-inch BMX wheels, it would roll easier. I'd have an easier time getting up and down the stairs. Okay, that kind of thing. I've also got 8 or 10 Harbor Freight wheels, the 10-inch wheels, right? 2 of them are on the wheelbarrow, so the other ones are just sitting around not doing anything. So I could make a dedicated cart just for this, you know, and then free up the hand cart. The other option, now that I've done this one, for the days that I use the table saw, it's not worth it to me to have a dedicated table saw stand because I just don't use it enough. It would be a waste of materials for me, okay? But the days that I am using the table saw and the air compressor and the chop saw, if I had a second cart, and looking at it now that I've built this one, if I built a second cart with those 3 things on it, and that was it. So when I needed it, I could roll it out in one shot. That might be worth doing. And then, you know, obviously the next version would have the electric cooler for my drinks and a battery pack to recharge everything and maybe a spot for solar panels. But we'll come back to that later. Still, it's a possibility. All right, that's it for now. You know the drill. Like and subscribe, and nobody's watching this part anyway because you already gave up on me. Bye for now.